Hello friends! Today will be slightly different video because frankly I had almost no spare time this week, had to finish a big project for my work, and on top of it I got a cold or a flu of some sort, not sure yet. So basically all these excuses are to explain very limited visuals on this video, and I also don't have time to re-record audio as I usually do for my videos that I want to sound smooth. So forgive me possible mispronunciations or mistakes. I literally have less than an hour, but I want to keep myself disciplined and try to keep releasing videos every Sunday.
Through discipline, we prevail.
And first of all, let me thank you guys for your kind words and appreciation of my work. Thanks for sharing videos, it helps a lot, especially on this early stage of the channel. Also, through your comments and feedback I get hints on what topics we could cover in future videos. Hey Morris, I'm reading that book you suggested. It will just take some additional time for me, but I'm working on it. It's pretty interesting. I see why you noticed that guy, and there are some things to learn from it and maybe to adapt. Also, Nicholas, under the previous video on A Simple Life, asked a question about possible healthy activities in the city. And I think now it's one of the must-make videos I have in mind, because that's what I wanted this channel to be about. Not just reactions to the news or some clown world tendencies, but also about making right choices. So I will definitely look forward to make a detailed video on this topic. Speaking about future topics, feel free to suggest them. While I cannot guarantee that they will appear next Sunday, but I certainly will make them in top 10 priorities if people show some particular interest and if I have some experience in this topic. At this point I have in mind several videos. For some of them I'm still collecting and preparing information, making notes, thinking about possible arguments and stuff like this, and in other cases I'm preparing some visuals for demonstration purposes, weight matters. Anyway, at this point I have several ideas. The first one I wanted to make is the video about martial art coaches, instructors, masters or whatever, because I'm constantly recommending people to get into martial arts, and I feel like it wouldn't hurt to share my own experience with different coaches, as I have trained under 5 coaches in 4 different martial arts, and I met or talked with even more instructors overall, and quite frankly the impression was not always that great, as there are some, well, maybe not openly fake ass coaches, but really unprofessional. But it's not that easy to identify them when you are new at this field, because you see, it seems that the more dubious the particular instructor is, the more psychological manipulation he uses. And these guys are good at manipulations. This is how they compensate lack of professionalism. And if in 90s they usually were concentrating around Oriental Eastern traditional martial arts, then nowadays they are invading the self-defense style systems. So this is one of the videos I'm slowly preparing. Another video about Koch brothers, Charles and the deceased one, David. Now, this topic keeps me interested because the donor money flow, donor influence is something that is shaping modern policies more and more. It seems that this phenomena is going to be stronger and stronger in the future, just like gold became much more powerful in the last days of Roman Republic. It's also interesting in terms of identifying what is wrong with modern day conservatism or why some parts of it fail. Now, I'm not going to put all the blame on Koch brothers, as there are powers far more sinister, but their activities were quite a symbol of times, a sign of changes, and the possibility to understand why conservatism is retreating, because one of the reasons why it loses cultural war are the people giving and receiving donor money and wasting them on agenda that could never win in this big ideological clash. Third video I have in mind is that damn woman question. I really don't like this topic itself, as it's so twisted today and full of madness, but this is the reason to talk about it. I think it's literally impossible to read any right-wing blogs mentioning feminism and never hear about MGTOW. I hope I pronounce it correctly, or some types of it, or just a certain vibe. So eventually, if you mention family, woman, feminism, marriage, someone will bring up MGTOW. And I know there are right-wingers that really hate MGTOW, but on the other hand, I noticed that some MGTOW folks may bring some interesting points on limiting government, on destructive consequences of welfare, on hostile courts and judicial system, which is anti-man, anti-male. So some of them are more or less close to certain right-wing theories or ideas. So while I'm kind of, let's say, suspicious, but I also see where they are coming from. I don't like nihilistic vibe, but there are some interesting parts worthy of discussing. Fourth video is what I mentioned already, a healthy lifestyle in the city. And fifth is so-called gatekeepers question. Now, not as soccer gatekeepers, but ideological ones. Personalities who are stopping dissatisfied people from reaching ideas that could truly change their life or the country. So instead, they are either redirecting anger or they are promoting impotent ideas, etc. I personally love to call them derailers. That is how I imagine their activity, derailing the train of life or maybe train of philosophical development. So basically it will be a video discussing signs of these gatekeepers and when it is appropriate to call someone a gatekeeper, because sometimes this term gets overused and loses its meaning when it's applied to people who just happen to have different opinion. Then it becomes just as meaningless as the word fascist nowadays. So these are videos closest to release. I also have some other ideas, but then they are bound to gathering more information or to finishing a book. Anyway, as I said, if you have an idea, feel free to suggest and I will put it on the list. Again, thanks for your feedback and thanks for sharing videos. Feel free to check the channel and share whatever you like the most. It also gives me an idea on where we might head. Also feel free to suggest possible improvements. I mean, obviously there are some things that are difficult to improve in one day, like the language skills, but if something can be improved, I'm open to it. It's also about kind of balancing between what I might do and what is the demand. Because you see, sometimes I think like, okay, it might be cool to make a video about it, but then I see, let's say, 5 of the channels I'm subscribed to myself are covering this particular topic, the big channel, and I feel like I can't add anything else to it, especially if it's just about some modern day madness. I mean, I have a lot to say about all these alphabet people, but I think there are plenty of other channels covering this stuff, so you probably already heard about that last idiotic act or decision. You probably already heard about that doctor fired because he does not believe in transgenderism. So probably not worth mentioning. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? Maybe the more people cover this, the better. Or maybe I should concentrate on, let's say, community building or some other less covered topics. So leave your suggestion in a comment section, spread the word, hit the like button, subscribe, follow me on Gab or Twitter, and have a nice day.